Greetings, Bill here. Trying out some new toys, video capture. Um, anyway, the topic of this tape is to just give you a quick demo on how to use MPLAB. I'm talking about the new version, that's MPLAB X. This is how you would compile programs for the PIC chip. We're not going to write any code. We'll just be very simple. We'll copy a program right off of the web page here. So I'm going to come over here, and this one that's called IO example 1, I will just come up here and I'm going to copy it, and in a moment we will paste that somewhere. So I do a copy, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the application for MPLAB, and let's find it here in Microchip, MPLAB X version 3.50, and I open it up. There is an issue here. MPLAB X IDE, now this is the new version of this thing, or the newest. You can get versions of this to run on a Macintosh. You can get versions of this to run on Windows. And as you can all see from the tape here, I am running this on a Mac. The problem is that when we actually want to burn the chip, the software for the burners that we're using only work in Windows. You can go ahead and set up a virtual machine if you like, VirtualBox, that'll work fine. I won't be able to show you how to do this in this video because I don't have a VirtualBox with Windows on it on this machine. But at least I can go ahead and show you how to use this particular version of MPLAB. Now, I also provided you a link to an older version of MPLAB. It really makes no difference which one of these you use. Either one of these will work. The first thing you'll note when you open this thing up, there's a lot of stuff going on over here. And there's this big advertisement for Microchip, which we don't need. I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to close this thing right up. And the other thing, this is a very mature programming environment here, and we're not going to be doing anything fancy. All of our projects, or any project that we do, is just going to involve a single source file. And it's important to keep that in mind because later on we're going to have to inform the IDE that that's what we're doing. But we're going to come over here and we're going to say New Project, and I have several choices here. It says Microchip Embedded, Other Embedded, or Samples. We want it to be a Microchip Embedded. We want it to be a standalone project. So the defaults here are very good. I'm going to say Next. It comes over here and it says Families. And what we have to do here is we have to target the particular chip that we're going to put it on. So I'm going to scroll down here and notice here it says mid-range 8-bit MCUs, and it says pick 10s, 12s, and 16s. And remember, we're using a 16. Our chip is a 16F628. So I'm going to click on that, and then over here I have to actually specify the chip. So I am going to scroll down here, and it's a pick 16F. And here we are at the Fs, and then it's a 628. Now you have to be careful. There's a 628A. We're not using the 628A. We're using the 628. It's right there. I click on it, and I'm going to say Next. And then I have to come over here, and it says Hardware Tools, and we're not using any hardware tools. So there is nothing here that we have to specify. I'm going to say Next. Over here, it wants to know what compiler we're using, and we're using MPASM, okay, which is the assembler. And I click on that, and I say Next. And now I have to give the project a name. I'll call it Project 1 Demo. Notice that the default here, it's putting it in Build, Documents, under Source Code, Pick. If I want to, I can come over here and browse and put it wherever I want. But I'm going to say Finish. Okay, so lots of information over here. It's creating lots of subdirectories that we really don't need. It is creating a directory called Project 1 Demo. But the thing that we need to do here is we need to come over here and click on Source Files. And what I'm going to do is when I'm clicking on Source Files, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say File, New File. Okay, and I'm going to come over here. It's asking me to choose the file type. It's an assembler file. Okay, and over here it's asking me what extension should it have. And you can see that the first option here is .asm. Okay, so it's assembly file.asm, and I'll take that. And now it's asking me for a name. It's giving me a name here. I can give it any old name I want. So I'm going to call it any old name. Okay, and notice over here the file it's going to create is anyoldname.asm. It's going to put it inside the Project 1 demo folder, and I'm going to say finish. So here we are, and I've got my editor window here that I could type my code in. What I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to make use of the cut and paste, and I'm going to paste the program that I had in there previously. So here's the program I took off of my web page. You'll notice that there's going to be a difference over here. On my web page, the chip was for a 16F627. I'm going to come over here and change that to a 628. Likewise for the include file. It's probably going to work anyway, but I'm going to come over here and I'm going to tell it to save that file. Okay, or I could come up here and say File, Save. Notice I don't have to save it, and it's already blacked out because I just used the icon over here. And here's the big thing that you have to remember now. I am going to come over here and I am going to come up to File, and I'm going to go to Project Properties. And this is really important now. I come over here and I am going to now come over here I'm going to give the global options for MPLAB. And here, notice it says build in absolute mode. And I want to check that. That's very, very important. And I go ahead and check that. And now I say, okay. And now I come over here and I go to run and I say build the main project. And I come down here and notice it says to me that the build was successful. Why don't we make a mistake in here just so you can see what an error would look like. I'll put something there. I'm going to save it. I'm going to come over here again and I'm going to say build the main project. And notice now it's telling me that the build failed. And you can see I'm getting these warnings, or I'm getting these error messages here in red. Okay, and basically it was this line over here that made it angry. I'll get rid of that again. I'll save it and I will say run build main project, and I'm back to here. Now if I come over here, just to show you, if I go into my documents and then I go to source code and I come over here to pick, and you'll notice that I have a folder here called project1demo.x, and I go in there, and where I'm going to go is I am going to go into the subfolder called dist for distribution, and I come over there and it creates lots of folders here, but you can see I'm following it down, and ultimately it's this file right here, the file that ends in .hex. This is the file that I would actually burn into the chip. Okay? I hope that was clear. Not a very long video. Thank you and good night.